All right, hello, my name is Jonah Robbins, and this is my research presentation. And before I begin, I want to establish two definitions, which are incidental workout app, which is an app that passively or accidentally burns calories while you play, and usually it's designed more for entertainment and less for an actual workout. However, you still get a workout as a byproduct. And the second is a designated workout app, which is an app that specifically is designed with classes, sessions, and an actual virtual trainer with a workout. And in this case, the designated workout app would be FitXR, and the non-designated workout app would be Beat Saber. So let's establish the issue. As you already know, the health of children in the United States is decreasing. And it's easily shown in the study on the left by Zhang Chu, which I can quote, says approximately 30% of children in the United States were overweight, and also 17% of children were considered obese, which goes to show that children are developing sedentary lifestyles and are not meeting physical guidelines whatsoever. And the source on the right is to show that even when these children grow older, 1 in 4 white adults, they spend most of their time just with no physical exertion whatsoever, which you can see in the quote that 70% of the time they spend awake is sitting, and the other 30% of time they spend awake is with activities with no physical exertion at all. And so the existing virtual reality research is that this study shows that the average enjoyment of virtual reality is much more it's more enjoyable to do this instead of the gym for people that are unmotivated. Because children that are developing sedentary lifestyles tend to spend more time playing video games and sort of things like that. It can also be assumed that these obese children can benefit for their health if they use these VR apps on a regular basis, which means these children that enjoy spending time on VR can use this as an effective workout tool, and it can be fun and effective. 2 more studies both show that the effectiveness of VR as a workout tool, and the one on the left primarily shows that exergaming at a high intensity is effective. Also, the source on the right summarily was used to boost players' motivation to work out. So even after they did an initial high-intensity VR workout, they came back and kept going with it and stayed consistent. In that study, it was also determined that VR is an effective workout. So in all 3 studies, VR was determined to be effective, which leads me to the gap in my research. So after VR was declared effective, you can use multiple apps to work out. In this case, I'm using Beat Saber and FitXR, Beat Saber being the incidental and FitXR being the designated workout app. So I compared 2 apps on VR to determine which is more effective at burning calories. Which leads me to my research question, which is how does Beat Saber compared to FitXR affect calories burned while playing VR? And so my initial hypothesis was that even FitXR will burn more, but very little. However, later you'll see that was completely, FitXR does burn more, however, it burns more, like a majority more. And so my method was to use study halls to find participants in their free time, and then I would print and pass out consent forms for both the parent and the participant. Then I would go back to the study halls, collect consent forms, and then take them to the main gym for the participants' comfortability and so that no one would be watching them while they play. Then I gave the participant a small rundown on how to play the game for the day. So if they were playing Beat Saber, I would explain how to slash at the blocks or the color-coordinated lightsabers, and to slash towards the arrow as it designates. And if they were playing FitXR, I would explain that it's a boxing app that you get to listen to music to, you get real-time instructions while you play, and you box to a rhythm. Then I would take the VR headset and set up the Oculus Move app, which is my app that tracks the calories burned, and make sure that the app was set up for the participant's BMI. Then I would hand back the VR headset when I opened either Beat Saber or FitXR for the day, whichever game they were playing, and then allowed, if they were playing Beat Saber, I would allow the participant to choose whatever song they would like. And if they were playing FitXR, I would drop them in right into a high-intensity interval 7-minute workout class. And I actually chose for Beat Saber to be for the participant to choose whatever song they would like to simulate the real-life application of this study, because in reality, there will be no one instructing you which song to choose rather than one over the other. Then I used the MetaQuest app to visually connect and take screenshots of their gameplay, and I also observed them while they play. And then I began the 7-minute timer when they began. After that, I would get the headset back and go back to the Oculus Move app and record the calories burned on a Google spreadsheet, and then later to group the results according to BMI and gender. And this is my first table. And as you can see, the red and the green bars are the FitXR calories burned. This is an all BMI, so all study population. And it shows the male and female participants. The female is the yellow and green, and the male is the blue and red. And you can easily see that even the total calories burned, the majority of the bar is FitXR. And however, the outlier of the 25.3 BMI player, I'll get to later. My second table was splitting the two genders apart. So this one is my male calories burned for both games. And here you can still easily tell that the difference is quite large between Beat Saber and FitXR. My third table is the female calories burned. Although I had a small sample size, you can still see the trend in FitXR as opposed to Beat Saber. And so, using the table, I was able to calculate averages for both the all BMI, male participants, and female participants. And so it did prove my hypothesis that FitXR would burn more. However, it burned much more. And so the average for all BMI for Beat Saber was 5.17 calories per minute with a plus or minus 5% error to calculate for the error with Oculus Move, trying to calculate the calories burned, because it's very difficult to do so. And so the average for all BMI for FitXR was 8.97 calories burned per minute. And you easily, with the average, the difference is about 3. So even if you played the game for a larger time, you would burn more calories playing FitXR. Then you can split them up into the two genders, and the disparity grows larger. The male average calories burned for Beat Saber is 5.21 calories, as opposed to the male average calories burned for FitXR is 11.29 calories, which is over double the calories burned for Beat Saber. And the female calories burned for Beat Saber is 5.71, and the female calories burned for FitXR is 8.95. And although gender is a factor in calories burned, it is easily seen with the male calories burned that FitXR is definitely more effective. And so I had 4 limitations. There's one, I have a very small sample size. I wasn't able to draw definitive results for females because I only had 3 participants. And tracking calories burned is a very difficult thing to do, which I had multiple articles in my paper that specified how many factors actually play a part into tracking calories burned. And I was also able to kind of discover that after observing the players, that on top of the time played, Oculus Move also uses the sensors on the headset to calculate the calories burned. So players that moved more burned more calories. Then players with more experience on VR can be outliers. As you saw, that 25.3 BMI player had the most experience played, and he chose one of the songs that had the most blocks with Beat Saber, that he slashed at. And that's only because he knew which song had the most. Fourth is the study does not reflect the effect of diet. So I did not limit dietary restrictions whatsoever, and I just pulled players into the gym whenever they had free time. And so I had 4 major implications. Was the first one, you could obviously compare other VR games and figure out their averages as well, and then you can compare that to an overhead picture, comparing much more, showing the averages for male and female participants. Another being maybe playing for a longer time. Another study I read was a bike VR game that played for 45 minutes but only had 8 participants, and they got around the same averages burned. It was about 9 for men and about 7.5 for women. A second being diet. You could have a controlled diet, maybe going into like a week before going into the research, trying to calculate calories burned, and then you could change to maybe a Mediterranean diet or something of this sort. The third being player experience. You could have a study limiting player experience or only including people who knew how to play the game already, or maybe met a certain requirement on hours played of the game. And a fourth would be age range. You can, and instead of just doing children to young adults in the high school, you can explore maybe younger age or elderly people.
All right, Jonah, thank you. All right, oral defense. Question number 1, please.
Jonah, how did the choices you made when designing or implementing your research method impact your research process?
So I chose to use the Oculus Move app because it was on VR. However, there's no scholarly research that shows exactly how it tracks calories burned, which kind of made it very uncertain. And the only reason I chose to do that was because it was convenient for me and for the participant. They didn't have to wear anything extra, and I didn't have to burden them with anything.
Hi, Jonah. How does your new understanding address a gap in the scholarly conversation?
So easily shown by the averages that the difference in FitXR and Beat Saber is that FitXR is more effective at burning calories. You can see it's almost double. It's almost double for the men. So if you played for a longer time, say like 30 minutes or so, you'd have a much larger difference for calories burned as well.
If you could revisit your research process, what would you do different and why?
If I could revisit my research process, I would choose maybe to try to get people, maybe try to get a different age range, like maybe try to include teachers is what I'm going to try to do, because I wanted to reflect, I wanted to try to reflect a difference in age of calories burned, but I was not able to.
Jonah, thank you so much. Floor is now open for general questions.
I have a question. You mentioned one study that you talked about at the beginning, like the obesity rates in children, and then there was another study that specifically studied white adults. Why did they focus on that specifically?
The study later, it is a different statistic, but it also talks about other races. It's not as much as white adults. So they were trying to highlight the I don't, how lazy that they were being, I guess.
So white people are lazier than people of color? Okay, interesting.
So with the Saber, it's only 5 calories per minute, but if you were just like sitting in a chair like we are right now, how many calories per minute?
It would probably